Hey everybody, it's Pete back with another video for our Healthy Relationships series. Today we're going to be talking about the role that communication plays in healthy and unhealthy relationships. We communicate constantly with the world around us, whether it's people in our lives, whether it's people that are far away from us on social media, whether it's people that we are dating, or whether it's people that are in our family that we see every day and we communicate with in our house. Communication plays a huge role in how we present ourselves to the people around us and how we explain our expectations to them and understand their expectations for us. There are three main types of communication that we're going to touch on. The verbal, me talking to you. The nonverbal, body language, my hands waving around while we're having this video. And the written, the texting and the messaging that happens so regularly these days. All three of these play a huge part in the day-to-day communication, and all three are important and essential. If someone's able to speak clearly but has no struggles with the nonverbal cues, it can be really hard to communicate effectively with that person because you're not able to read the body language and their nonverbal cues, which is a huge part of being human. A massive percentage of our communication is actually nonverbal. The way we react when someone says something we don't like, the way we laugh when someone says something funny, all of these things play into our nonverbal communication skills and are essential for making sure that we're properly understood. The thing with relationships is that if there are two people involved in a relationship and neither one of them is communicating effectively, it's virtually impossible for that relationship to go anywhere good. That's right. It's virtually impossible for a relationship to go anywhere positive if there's no positive communication happening. The three different types of communication can be a real challenge these days with social media. Back a long time ago, the only form of written communication was a letter. And a letter would take days to get to the person, so that it was tough to have that letter say anything other than you wanted to communicate. Now, with so much written communication, people can be saying one thing, responding physically with their body language, but then be saying something completely different online. This is where a crazy amount of relationships fall apart these days, specifically in the high school and young adult group. When verbal and written communication don't line up, not only is that a question of clear communication, it's a question of honesty, a question of trust, and a question of whether or not that person is telling the truth. And as most of us can guess, telling the truth is an incredibly important part of a dating relationship. When we get into situations where someone is living a specific life with their verbal communication and a completely different life with their typed communication, we're barreling towards a disaster. One of the main issues of communication is expectations. One of the things that brings dating relationships down in a hurry is no communication with regards to expectations. What do you expect out of this relationship? What are you trying to get out of this relationship? Not just having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but what are the limits? Where are the lines? What are the barriers I need to put up to keep myself safe? What are we allowed to talk about? Are there things we're not allowed to talk about? We need to communicate clearly with someone if we expect them to play a special role in our lives. We haven't been taught very well, a lot of us, how to have these hard conversations. So they can be embarrassing, they can feel awkward and clunky, and sometimes we're worried about how they're going to be received by the person we're trying to communicate with. Part of communicating is making sure that we're being very honest and straightforward, at least to the person that we're communicating to, with the intention behind what we're trying to say. If someone gets into a dating relationship or a physical relationship and has no intention of taking it anywhere, but doesn't communicate that, but the other person thinks that this is a relationship that's going to last a long, long time, the heartbreak that's going to come is inevitable because there's crossed lines. The communication isn't there, and it's impossible for people to just telekinetically understand each other without having the conversation first. It's a bummer, and it can be a difficult conversation to have, but we need to make sure that if anything else, we're clearly communicating with one person. The way online written communication works these days with screenshots and with group chats and group texts, more and more we're seeing other people involved in individual relationships. That's going to always make the water a little bit murkier and a little harder to navigate, because in a relationship, we need to establish whether we trust each other. If there are two people involved in a dating relationship, the two people involved need to make sure that they are communicating clearly and can, if nothing else, trust each other and what's being said. And if there is someone else influencing that group or that conversation, then the communication now is not only between two people, but it's between the three of them, whether the one person knows it or likes it or not. Speaking clearly, speaking your mind, communicating when you're upset, communicating when you're frustrated, can be a difficult learning curve for a lot of people, especially if we were raised in homes where we didn't clearly communicate, where we didn't clearly explain what was going on when we got angry. And it can take hard work. This is why I think everybody, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're planning on being in a relationship or not, needs to practice being honest, needs to practice speaking up for themselves, needs to practice communicating their own expectations, and practicing navigating the relationships you have anyways, your family, your friends, the people around you, so that when you get into a dating relationship, it's already second nature to have these conversations, to be able to talk about your wants, your likes, your dislikes, to be honest about the things that bother you, to be honest about the things that make you happy, the things that make you sad, and the things that kind of scare you a little bit. As we get into a relationship, and the further we get into this series, we're going to see that the idea in a dating relationship is to actually grow closer together with this person. This isn't just a physical thing, and it's not just about sex. It has to do with actually trusting somebody else with who you really are. The things that scare you, the things, your dreams, your hopes, your visions, your passions, your beliefs. And if we can't communicate clearly at the beginning of a relationship, it won't get easier the deeper we get into it, because the deeper we get into a relationship, the bigger the topics of conversation. I would encourage everyone here to practice clear communication. This means listening to the people around you. This means speaking up when something's bothering you, when you feel like you have something to say. It can be difficult, and everybody responds differently to those communications, but we all need to figure out our place and how to say the things we need to say to the world around us. Maybe it seems silly to even make a video on communication, but I would say that the amount of relationships that end due to poor communication, or communication that is not honest, not authentic, or completely outright dishonest, is at an all-time high. If we look at the pop culture and the memes and the different things that come with that, we're starting to see a real problem of people not communicating honestly with the person that they're dating. I hope that you guys care enough about yourselves to be with someone who's going to listen to you, who's going to want to hear your thoughts, who's going to want to hear your limits and your fears and your beliefs, and that you're also going to value the person that you're with enough to do the same. If that's not the goal, I would probably say that we need to reevaluate the purpose of a relationship. Because the purpose of a relationship is to grow closer to somebody that can be a partner in life, that can help you through all the crazy twists and turns that life will throw at you. And young and in high school, maybe it's hard to see that right now, but we want to see you grow. We want to see you healthy in your individual lives as well in any relationships that you have. Hope this was helpful. If there's any topics you'd like to see in videos coming up, please let us know, and we'll talk to you soon.